On today's episode of Kilts and Culture with USA Kilts, we try Stranahan's Blue Peak Single Malt Whiskey. Welcome to Kilts and Culture. I am Rocky. This is Erik.
Victorian England had a huge influence on the fashions and styles that were happening in Highland Dress in Scotland.
Tartan is Scotland's gift to the world, and it is your personal heritage story. Howdy do, boys and girls. Welcome to Kilts and Culture. I'm Rocky. This is Erik. Today, special treat. We have, aside from the fact... Oh, I'm going to break the thing. That's special treat is Rocky picking stuff off the floor. So, special treat.
We're going to reshoot that. Wrap it up.
Yep. We have a gift from Robert Worthington. This is Stranahan's Blue Peak single malt whiskey. This is done in Colorado, so it's not Irish at all. It's American Scottish whiskey stuff. I don't know. Anyway, Colorado single malt whiskey. So
made with pure mountain snowfall runoff water.
Mountain Dew.
Yep.
So I've been curious about this one for a while. I don't know. It looks pretty good sitting in the bottle. Oh, that's a big bottle.
You can have that one.
All right. I'll get that one to Ian. There you go.
And Ian is on the show today, as you may have just sussed out.
Hello.
And there's much Ians.
Yes, and
Indeed.
there was much rejoicing over however many Ians there were.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Ian, if you would, come collect your Stranahan's Blue Peak. And while you are back there, we will tell everyone what you have on today.
Embarrassingly, I'm wearing the same tartan I was wearing last time I was on the show. I've got on the old Scotland Tweed.
Looks very pretty. Very pretty. What do you have on today, Erik?
This is the Owen Glyndwr tartan.
Very nice. Very nice.
Great Welsh hero, honoring my wife's ancestry.
Very nice.
This one.
Today, I have a kilt that I have not fit in for a while that I decided to wear today. So I'm wearing the MacDonald Clanranald Muted. 16-ounce House of Edgar. Love this one. Love it. Love it.
Tapeworm has been doing a wonder.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really, very effective.
Yes. Okay. Ian's just going to go ahead and break the set back there. It's all good. So, how do we feel about Stranahan's Blue Peak?
What do you mean, how do we feel? I haven't tasted it yet.
Smell it. How do I feel about the odors?
This is a very strong nose.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's been a while since we've done a single malt, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like this quite a bit.
It smells great.
The smell.
Yeah.
You guys want some notes on this?
It's very fruity.
Do we have smelly notes?
We do.
Odor notes?
Before we even get to that, I'll say that it is an American single malt distilled at high altitude, aged in new American oak barrels, and Solera finished. A maturation process typically used in wine, resulting in a rich and mellow whiskey.
Who knew
What's a
that
Solera?
you could finish whiskey in the back of a Toyota?
Apparently some guy in
Very
Colorado.
uncomfortable place.
That's a Volkswagen, my friend. I thought Solera was just a name that Toyota made up. Oh.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, who knows?
So the nose is dried apricot, nutmeg, cinnamon toast, and hints of leather and light tobacco.
Cinnamon toast? I get the tobacco and I get the apricot.
I'm getting fruity. I don't know that I would
I'm getting banana.
pull out apricot specifically.
I'm getting banana.
Yeah.
But not like real banana, like artificial banana.
Like runts.
Like peanuts. Like circus peanuts.
Yeah.
I'm definitely getting the leather and light tobacco. Like I kind of want this scent as a cologne. I think this would be a really nice cologne.
Okay, Larry, how many have you had tonight?
No, it's just my cologne, hon. I swear.
Just put this in a little spritzer, and I'll just spray it on my neck a little bit.
I think it's leading the witness, but yeah.
Okay.
I'm getting more like a dried apple and the banana for me, but
I'm getting lightheaded by
but I
sniffing
like
so
it.
much.
It is a lovely nose. It is the nicest smelling booze I've had in a while.
I would agree.
It's
Strong
not
start.
like overpowering. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Sip. Sweet.
Sweet and a bit burning.
A little peppery, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm getting peppery, like top back of the mouth a little bit.
So for the palate, we're looking at creamy butterscotch and brown sugar.
Yep.
Baked apples with notes of cayenne and toasted oak.
Cayenne. Yeah. Okay. A little. That's the little spicy.
It's just a way of saying spicy.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm definitely getting the butterscotchy kind of. Yeah. A little bit.
Feel it going down.
And creamy. Yeah. And that's the oak. Is the feeling going down for me.
Really?
Yeah.
It's hot.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
And the finish is rich and mellow. Earthy malt gently fades into lingering spices.
I would say they have, for what you just read, they have the right amount of notes.
Yes.
I can taste almost everything you just described. Like, yep, it all makes sense. But it's not like they're gilding the lily. And it's like, it's vanilla and this and this and this and that. Like it's the right amount of things, and I get it.
I'm just impressed that I can't pick up on all those notes, but I get the vibe.
Yeah.
And it's just accurate.
I get
for a change. It's actually accurate.
Yeah.
So truth in advertising for once.
Now,
what was the point of the high altitude? Do any of us know? Like,
dude.
I guess the boiling point would be different. I wonder how that affects the chemistry. I don't know how it would matter though.
Maybe. I don't know. If you know out there in the interweb land, let us know in the comments. What does the high altitude have to do with the distilling of whiskey?
Marketing.
Possibly nothing.
Marketing. Yeah,
it's not the altitude. It's how high the people at the factory are.
It's true. It is Colorado.
Yeah.
Yes.
Every keg's sealed at exactly 420, dude.
I just got back from the shore, and I went to. I've never gone to Atlantic City as a beach town before. But speaking of marijuana, if I never smell cigarette and marijuana smoke on a beach again, it'll be too soon. Like the number of people smoking weed and not a great beach experience. If you don't smoke weed, if you do, then you have people to bum it off of. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Do you bum weed like you bum cigarettes? I don't know. If it's legal?
I think it's a bit more personal.
Yeah, fair. Okay. All right. All right. So how do we feel about it, Ian? How does this make you feel?
I like this quite a bit. This is nice. I like the sweetness. I like that it's balanced with those peppery, the spicy, those hot alcoholic notes. This is real nice. I like this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's something different than I've normally had.
Yeah.
I'd agree with the balance. Yeah. I could probably do without the pepperiness. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing I'm going to critique it a little bit on the. I'd like to either back off or eliminate that, but everything else I'm down with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not so sweet that it feels like it's it needs to be a liqueur.
Yeah. It's not cloying.
Yeah.
I think that's the word you want.
Sure. I don't know what that means, but that's fine.
It means it's so sweet you don't have to call it a liqueur.
Fair. Yeah. Nice. Okay. Any other thoughts on this before we give it a rating?
Not really. It's tiny little bit of peatiness on the back on my throat now.
It's legs are. I can't tell if it's like extra special or small.
They're short, aren't they?
No, it's like coating the inside of the glass because it's not like just running down immediately. It's actually like coating the inside. When I twist it around, it looks like it's like textured glass almost.
Yep.
Interesting. I don't know what that means. Must be from the altitude. I have no idea. Okay. All right, Ian, let's give it a rating. And I haven't even opened it up with water. This is just, flat. Okay. Rating 1 to 10. What do you get?
Yeah, I wish I had like a list of what I'd rated things in the past because this is going to be up there. I don't know if it's better than the Oban 18 that we did, but this might be number 2. I'm going to call this a solid 8 out of 10.
8.0.
Wow.
8.0.
Novice type store, but that's
Holy
fine.
cow.
Yeah, this is interesting without being like you said. It's not like just another one of insert type here.
Yeah,
that we've done before.
Yeah.
It's a nice.
So I'm enjoying this a lot.
Blend of elements, you could say.
Yeah.
Definitely reminds me of a Highland.
Okay.
Yeah, or a Space Side, kind of like lightish. Yeah, but it's got more complexity than a Space Side. Okay. All right. What's your rating on it?
I'll go 7.4.
7.4.
Yeah, I do
Strong
like this.
Scores today.
I do like this. Yeah.
I would go 7.6. It doesn't cross the threshold into I'm going to go out and buy it, but I would absolutely drink this. If someone was like, "Hey, here's 4 whiskeys," I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'll take that one." Yeah, very nice. Good score. Yeah, Good stuff.
Thank you.
Stranahan's Blue Peak.
Robert.
Robert Worthington. Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, nice. We don't do a lot of American whiskeys specifically in the show. We do bourbons on occasion when people get us.
Yeah, well, there are more American bourbon makers than single malt makers. So, but
yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, this is delightful.
Yeah.
We may have lost our connection to this one if it's not available outside the state, because Robert Worthington has fled Colorado.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
The police were after
They
him.
finally caught up with him, huh?
Very good. All right. Boys and girls, load your questions in. You know the drill. Any questions you have? Yeah, I'm gonna spill everything today.
You gotta fix that.
I know. It's slicking up the carpet. Wax the carpet. Wax on, wax off.
Wax on, wax off.
Load in your questions. Any Kilts/culture questions you have. We are but your humble servants here to answer any questions you have for us. Pretty please. While Ian starts to collect questions, why don't you tell us what we have pre-asked for the show?
Sure. I'm working the scotch through. We had an embarrassment of riches this time. We have a lot of questions. Could not get to all of them by any stretch. Blah, blah, blah. The plated ones, who we've heard from before, I think, asked, what do you think about other uses for a fly plaid? For example, as a wrap or scarf? Because why would you want to wear that thing?
Fair. So what do you think about other uses for a fly plaid? The fly plaid, for those who don't know, is the big square of fabric goes over the left shoulder. Typically, it's only worn for very, very formal events. You do not have to wear it to be formal, but a formal event would be where you would wear it. What do we think about them? There's not a lot of customers who get fly plaids. Like maybe 10% of the people who get a wool kilt will get a fly plaid because you want to get it the same time as your kilt, so it matches the fabric in your kilt.
Right.
But you don't need to have it. That said, once you have it, what do you do with this if you don't do that much formal stuff? I would say, typically speaking, it's not a great functioning piece of kit. It's great for pictures. It looks nice. It looks pretty. That's why guys get it. But it does kind of drag at the shoulder of the jacket a little bit as you're wearing it. So what I try to do is, okay, let's think of other uses for it. Now, if you have a ceremony and your wife doesn't have your bride doesn't have a tartan, because you wear it for formal. So if you're wearing it at your wedding and your bride doesn't have a tartan, the groom can, we've suggested on occasion, the groom could take off the fly plaid with the brooch off and then, wrap it around her like a shawl, as in, I'm accepting you into our family kind of thing. You can just make it as a shawl for her after the wedding as well. So that's one good thing you can do. Two ways, either by just folding it over into caddy corner, so that the one corner that has the box plate in it on the fly plaid is kind of tucked to the back, so she can just wrap it around her as a shawl. That's if you don't want to mess with the box plate and the one line of stitching that's in it. If you want to make it a more permanent change because you're never going to wear the thing after the wedding, then I would say rip out that stitching and iron that flat, and you have you have a shawl right there. What are your thoughts on other things to do with a fly plaid?
Burial shroud.
Burial shroud. Okay.
No. Yeah. I'd say if you are willing and comfortable with picking the stitching out of the box plate, like Rocky said, then yeah, you could turn it into a shawl as is, folding it, like you said, like into a triangle. And then you could actually, if you have somebody who's handy with a needle, they could possibly cut a slit in the middle and turn it into a poncho.
Yep.
Just kind of like a Rwana or whatever, which is pretty popular for the gals these days. I know people who have used it as a throw. I know people who have used it as a wall hanging. Like you put it up on the wall and you put pictures on it, like crossed weapons, clan design stuff, or family pictures. Kind of use it as an art piece in your home. You could kind of keep it just as is and take it along as a small day plaid, like to festivals and stuff. I mean, because basically day plaid is a picnic blanket that you wear, and it was very popular back in the day. Not as popular now, but it's starting to come back We occasionally get requests for them. It doesn't have to be in the same tartan as your kilt, but these days people want it to be. So you could kind of use it, take it around, wear it, with a tweed set for a day at a festival, and then actually use it for what it was intended for. But it's not.
It'd be a very small.
It'd be extremely small.
Yeah, because it's only about 46 to 50 inches ish square.
Yeah.
Ian, how wide's a day plaid? Do you remember? Is it 2 yards essentially? 2 yards by 60 is typically what we made them.
I don't recall.
Okay,
it's supposed to be big enough for you and one other person, ideally.
Yeah.
So.
The other thing you could do would potentially be just as a big square of cloth would be if you have a circular kitchen table, you could use it as a tablecloth on a table.
Yeah.
If you've used it for your wedding and you don't want to use it anymore, another thing that you could do is one thing that we did, my wife and I did. We did it differently. We didn't use it with the fabric, but it would be cool to use with fabric, is make a shadow box display of your wedding stuff for your home. So think of it this way. If you took the day plaid, now you got me saying it. If you took the fly plaid fabric and wrapped it around the back of the flat part in the back of a box, a shadow box, you could put like her flowers on there, or corsage on there, or whatever. You could put, the invitation to the wedding, maybe the menu. If you wrote your own vows or something like that, any of the mementos of the day, put in there and pin it to that as like the backboard for a shadow box.
Yeah.
That could be something pretty neat too.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's a few different ideas for you to do with your fly plate if you don't want to use it anymore.
Yeah, it's mostly home goods.
Yeah.
Basically, once you're done with it for what it was intended for.
Or cut it up, make it a pillow, make it into other things. If you're not going to use it anymore, don't let it go to waste. Do something else with it. You may be able to make a baby kilt out of it once your kids are born. Don't just let it kind of languish in the back of the closet to never be used again. Do something else with it. Cool.
Right.
Hope that helps. Mr. Ian.
Yes.
What do we have on the interwebs over there?
So I've got a question here from YouTube from a user named Baphomet, who is, apparently watching our show.
The Baphomet?
The Baphomet.
Wow.
One and only.
I didn't know they got reception down there.
If there's one place our show broadcasts.
Good old Baphomet.
I don't remember if you answered this question before, but where would a kid put his phone if it doesn't fit in their sporran?
Where does a kid put his phone?
So presumably he's got a kid's sporran, which is much smaller than a grown man's sporran.
I'm trying to come up with a joke about Baphomet being a goat, therefore it's a kid's sporran, and it's just not working.
I see what you're doing there. I see what you're doing.
You put all the parts on the table, we can all assume the joke.
Thank you.
Yes,
thank
you. Something goat.
Yeah.
A kid with a cell phone
depends
in a
on
kilt.
how old the child is. Like I don't want to get into a discussion about how old is too old or too young for a kid to have a cell phone,
right?
Because that varies. If it's a child's sporran, we can kind of get into it a little bit. Now,
there's a couple of ways to do
this.
Because
there's basically 3 sizes of child sporrans. There's baby, there's middle, and there's almost teen. So, 9, 10, you're in the larger, 9, 10, 11, you're in the larger.
I have to assume
sporran.
it's something like that they're talking about, probably on the larger side.
12 or 13, you're probably into an adult sporran, essentially. What would you do? You can eat, you can get a belt pouch and put a cell phone in that. You can get a larger sporran because they're going to grow into it.
That's the easy answer.
I'm trying to think. What else? Where else? Just give it to the parent. Sorry, Dad. Sorry, Baphomet.
I'm kind of guessing that maybe this is a situation like where you're going to a festival, you're letting the kid go off with somebody else, and you want to be in touch with them, make sure that they stay in touch with you. So they have to have their phone on them. I think the belt pouch is a good idea. You even make like a fabric belt pouch. Like if you have extra tartan lying around from the kilt, like if you cut up your fly plaid from your wedding, and make them just like something subtle and simple and comfortable for them to wear. Because if it's not comfortable, they're going to it's going to be a problem for them. That they can slip the phone into.
Or under apron pocket.
An under apron pocket if you're willing to install one, but that might be a little bit bulky on the size kid, but it might work for some kids. Yeah. That would probably be the smartest way to go, but you'd have to be crafty.
Yeah.
To do that.
He's crafty. He gets around.
Yeah.
He's crafty. He's always down. He's crafty.
Yo.
He's got a gripe. He's crafty. He's just my type. He's Baphomet. No. Beastie Boys from the 1980s. I'm sorry.
Okay.
She's crafty. No, never mind.
Got it.
She's crafty, and she's just my type.
It wasn't Erik's bag. He wasn't into the B-boys like I was.
Nope.
Ian's just young.
I'll say my brain was going to like those lanyard phone holders that some people have used for work settings or for festivals, but that's going to be bulky.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the belt pouch.
Weight of the phone too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, are we talking like your phone, or are we talking like a new smaller flip phone? In which case, it's not going to be a problem. But yeah, I think a belt pouch.
All right, Ian, did you have something to add that
Yeah, belt pouch is a great idea. I was thinking that if you are doing some sort of under apron pocket, we usually do them vertical, but maybe for the kid you do it horizontal, so it's not too tall for their small.
I was thinking of an angle.
What I've typically done with my phone, just because I don't like getting in and out of my Sporran 40 times a day, an hour sometimes, I just kind of tuck it between my kilt and my body. Works better if
Pressure
you're doing
fit,
a tucked in shirt.
Yeah, but we're talking about a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It depends on
that
their
phone's
kid.
going to disappear.
If they're active, if they're moving, if they're climbing the monkey bars at the playground, whatever they're doing.
I think we have to assume it's going to,
It's just trying to throw out another idea. Certainly,
if
it's a teenager and they're in the, they're part of a band that's marching, it might be a little bit different story. So it's an option, maybe not a great one for everybody though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fair.
Makes sense.
Cool. Hope that helps. All right, Erik.
My turn?
Yes.
Wow, we're just ripping through them here.
Yeah.
Okay. I need my reading glasses. This is interesting. This is when Rednecks 581. Sounds like a element in some kind of space weapon. Okay. Anyway, what are I gotta resist the temptation to make a joke every single time. Okay, what are your thoughts on?
Why stop now?
Don't tempt me.
Don't stop me now.
Rednecks 581 said, "What are your thoughts on a tweed great kilt, whether it be Harris or Donegal, or even tartan tweeds from the mills like Lacaron and Martin Mills that offer them? Do you think that a tweed kilt like this would be warmer and more hard wearing for hunting, camping, hiking, etc.?"
Okay.
Making a kilt out of tweed.
A great kilt out of tweed.
A great kilt out of tweed.
Would it be more hard wearing?
Fill in more.
It really depends on the tweed. I think you could do it. Erik and I had, since this was one of the preloaded ones, Erik asked me if it's, hey, are the tweed, like Erik's more, you've seen more of the Lacaron tweeds, which like you have on here is a little softer, versus some of the harder wearing, like outerwear type tweeds. So, suit jacket type tweed versus outerwear type tweeds. There are different levels of hardness. Well, I'm not going to say hardness, but like, durability.
Yeah, stiffness.
Yeah, stiffness, durability, hardness versus softness.
Tightness of weave.
Tightness of weave, exactly. So some of the tweeds from Lacaron for their tweed jackets and things like that, no, I wouldn't necessarily wear. But like the tweed that Ian has on for his kilt, it's a very, very hard wearing tweed. There's some tweeds from the Isle Mill. There's some tweeds from Batley's has some tweeds. There's a bunch of different tweeds. So there's like suiting jacket type fabrics versus tweed outerwear, walking through the brush, on a grouse hunt.
Yep. I was about to say grouse hunting. Yep.
Yeah. So something a little bit more towards that end of it, yes, I think could work well. Yeah. Now it's going to be heavy.
Right.
And it's going to be stiff, reasonably stiff, compared to like 13 ounce or, like House of Edgar cloth or something like that. Could it work? Sure. It really depends on the tweed, and the coloring and the pattern and that kind of stuff.
I don't think the coloring or pattern really matter much, but
for a great kilt.
Yeah. I mean, for a great kilt, we're assuming we're not trying to do anything historic here. We're just like, we want the real world application benefits of a great kilt. And yeah, I think it would be very effective, but I think it could also be a little harder to wear because it's Grey kilt's not a small amount of fabric, and the idea of bunching all that up to wear it when you're not deploying it as a blanket or as a rain cover, it would excel for those. But for wearing it open, shall we say, just on the shoulder or whatever, when you're not in a bad weather situation, I think could get a little uncomfortable. I think it could be. It's a. I don't know.
It could be a bit much. It depends. Just like tartan cloth, there's different weights of tweeds from let's say 10 ounce up to 18 ounce. Something 18 ounce meant for outerwear. It's a little bit scratchier. If your legs are sensitive, then like the backs of your knees, for instance.
Yeah.
If you have sensitive skin, that may kind of rub at the back of the knees a little bit.
Yep.
It may rub at where it's touching your body. But yeah, somebody asked us a while ago, what would be the best tartan to wear as a great kilt for hunting to blend in for camouflage with the heather and things. And I said in that video, tweed may actually work depending on tweeds. You can match the natural colors.
Yeah.
So
or something
I'm
weathered.
Going back to that. So if you're wearing it for an outdoorsy kind of, what's the bushcraft type experience?
Yeah, bushcrafting.
Yeah. That could work pretty well, and it'd be reasonable camouflage, and it would be a hard wearing cloth, or could be.
Yeah. Not sure I would do it, but it's an interesting idea for sure.
Yeah.
Just gotta be willing to invest in the cloth to do it in the first place. I mean, the good stuff is not exactly cheap, I suppose.
True.
But
cheap ain't good, and good ain't cheap.
Yup.
Very good. It's my rigorism for the day. All right, Ian.
Yes.
What do we have on deck?
So let's see. What do I have here? This is an interesting question. I want to expand on it a little bit. Marcus over on YouTube has asked us,
Pretty good.
has Rocky or Erik ever seen rose gold accessories in Highland wear? I usually only see gold or pewter, and beyond rose gold, like if there is something interesting out there to do besides pewter or gold, what would you guys want to see?
I'm biased against rose gold. I have not seen rose gold accessories in menswear. It's extremely popular for women's wear right now. My daughter has a ton of rose gold stuff, for instance. I don't think I've ever seen a rose gold kilt pin or anything like that, to be honest. And I could see it possibly blending well with some tartans. From a color standpoint, it's an interesting idea. Like I could see it blending nicely with some of the Williams of Bannockburn colors or muted colors. It could be an interesting effect, but I don't know anybody who's making anything like that.
Or weathered colors, like
weathered
red. Yeah.
Yeah.
The rose gold is one of those that it goes. My high school girlfriend's father was a jeweler, so I know a little bit. The rose gold comes in and out of fashion.
Yeah.
And oftentimes rose gold is mixed with other golds as well, because it's a very particular taste. So I would say, no, I've never seen rose gold for kilt accessories. That said, and frankly, there aren't too many gold kilt accessories. It's most guys stick with white metals, a little bit into yellow metals, where it's kind of opened up a touch is with copper or chocolate bronze kilt accessories.
Yeah,
you have a black one.
I thought I put on the copper one.
So there are companies that play with different finishes on the metal. It's not going to be gold, like actual gold. It'll be a gilt finish or a chocolate bronze or copperish kind of finish to a pewter typically. But no, there are not many gold colored, actual gold or colored gold accessories for kilt stuff. The vast majority specifically designed for kilts are silver because, frankly speaking, 98% of guys, 95% of guys want silver colored or antiqued, but it's still in the silver family, a white metal color. Mm-hmm. Outside of that, there's a little bit who want gold, maybe 1 or 2%.
Welsh.
Yeah, but the Welsh just they forced that upon the market. Mm-hmm. That was a weird tangential point that I'm actually kind of happy you brought up, is the Welsh accessories were gold when they first started. Mm-hmm. And then what ended up happening When I spoke with Tony, the guy that owns the Welsh Tartan Center, way back when, and all the Welsh accessories were gold, because he was specifically doing things to be different from the Scottish accessories. So he figured they're silver. We're going to have our buttons. We're going to have our kilt pins. We're going to have our metal all be gold. And what he found out was that people were coming to him and saying, "Hey, I love this buckle. Do you have it in silver? I love that kilt pin. Do you have it in silver?" So he said, "Okay, fine." So he started doing a gold and a silver line of Welsh accessories. And when I sat down with them way back when, I said, "Why don't you just do a kilt pin with a gold dragon on a silver pin? So you only have to carry one." And it was kind of that, I should have had a V8 moment. He's like, "That's a great idea. We should do this now. We're cutting how much, stuff we have to carry in half." But the point is, there wasn't a huge outcry for gold stuff. There's enough, but it's just kind of on the fringe.
Yeah.
The black metal stuff as a finish, were kind of, black metal and black metal finish, where it was kind of a little bit of a blip on the radar with the black shadow tartans. There were some, a bit of a call for black finishes on metal, but it kind of went away for the most part.
Not always, not completely.
Not completely, but for the most part, it went away. And there's kind of the chocolate bronze thing. Yes.
This is my buckle for when I want to go get lost in the woods.
And it shoots lasers, apparently.
Yeah. That was a black metal music video for all you black metal music video fans out there. Yeah, I would say if you want to play with rose gold, you're going to have to dip into women's accessories like on eBay or something and see if you find something that looks kind of like it'd be a fun pin. But yeah.
I have a random thought. I don't know how it works, but if you could take a brooch or a pin that you like, if you really, really have to have rose gold, if you could take something like that and take it to get plated,
get electroplated,
or to go to a jeweler and see if they
I was kind of thinking the same thing.
Something like
Maybe
that.
Maybe you could do that.
I don't know if that's a thing, if that's can be done, unless you know an electroplater. But I don't know. Good luck. I have no idea. All right. Was that Ian? All right, Erik.
That was Ian.
What do we got next?
Okay, first we have Baphomet. Now we have 666 King Drummer.
It's all Satan all the time.
What the heck, guys?
Kilts and Culture channel.
We're having a devilishly good time. Mr. Drummer is asking, now that we have American-themed tartans, when are we getting American-themed kilt accessories? And this might be directed specifically at us because we just came out with some American things, but the American Dream tartan. I've seen American-themed stuff over the years, but it's always been the cheap-ass stuff from overseas, usually. Not always the...
There was the Don McKee buckle, which was like...
He is the standout.
High-end,
he is
expensive.
The standout exception.
Yes.
If only someone were doing something like that now.
Get out of our heads. It's... Yes.
Get out of my head!
I've been toying around with an American-themed buckle and an American-themed kilt pin for years, I think it's safe to say.
Yep.
So it is something that we're planning on doing. We may or may not have prototypes in the works for a buckle, and we're maybe dealing with a kilt pin that may be coming out soon. If you look closely, you may eventually see it on the website. So keep your eyes peeled on this space. At some point, you may see some different American type accessories. That's all I'm going to say about that. I think I've said enough.
Enough said.
That's all I have to say about that.
Yep. That was short.
That wasn't very slick. And that, for the record, that was an honest question that came in, and I'm like,
it was.
How do these people know what I'm thinking? Get out of my brain.
More than one person asked about it. Was the funny thing. Yeah. So it was like, yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah. We're planning on doing some cool stuff. So watch this space, as they say.
I helped design the kilt pin.
Yes, indeed. I'd say you. Yeah, well, I designed the shield bit, but the other thing on the kilt pin may or may not be. Yes, keep an eye out. Erik did a very good job.
2 eyes even.
Finding some good
stuff.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
All right, Ian.
Moving right along.
What do we got?
Okay, we're moving along quickly here.
We are.
Yeah.
So we don't frequently answer
rapid fire
questions
show.
about our specific products. We try to keep it more broad and general, but since we just kind of had an answer that included one,
We never talk about any products that we may or may not be coming out with in a very short period of time on the show. This is absolutely something we don't do, generally speaking.
So I'll sneak in a second one here. From Justin Victor. Are there any plans to re-release any of the two-toned House of Cheviot Lewis Hose?
Oh my God. What the hell, guys? Checks in the mail.
No,
I'll Venmo you.
there may or may not be plans to re-release two-tone Kilt Hose at some point in the future, which I literally thought about like a month and a half ago and went through some exercises of pricing on it and then dropped off my plate because 1,000 things came back on the plate.
Oh man. We thought nobody was interested for a long time, and then he was like just speculating, like, a few weeks ago. I was like, maybe you might be trying to try it again.
Yeah. So
was it because you were wearing a pair?
Yeah,
you pulled a pair out of the closet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wore them on a TikTok video.
Right.
And then like a bunch of people weirdly started asking us about it. And I'm like, all right, maybe I'll give it a shot again. And yeah. So maybe they might come out at some point. Damn it. I got to throw more money at all this stuff. Oh, these things get expensive. All right.
That stuff we put in the water is working, apparently.
Yeah. All right, Ian, we'll do another one from you.
Yeah, let's do another one from me because that was just way too short.
These are not meant to be product plug, guys.
Yeah, let's do one that's not about us, please.
I am totally ready for another question. I'm
good.
so glad
so happy you're doing your job.
Over on YouTube, Corey Brass has asked us, any reason I shouldn't wear a horsehair sporran with casual wear? I think I look good in it, and it suits my personality. I'll also add that there's quite a bit of discussion about this in the chat already, and he did kind of indicate he's talking about Converse shoes, T-shirt. So that's the level of casual he's looking at.
Like super cash.
Super cash.
Really cash.
Would I versus can you? Those are two separate things. Can you? Sure. Paul from the Real Mackenzies wears a horsehair sporran, a Mackenzie tartan kilt, a leather jacket, a Glengarry hat.
Yep.
And combat boots.
Combat boots, yeah.
He's a rock star on stage doing a thing as part of a performance art. If you view your clothing as part of your performance art for the world, so to speak, then sure, it's not illegal. No one is going to stop you. Would I do it? No. It's typically speaking, if you go back in history, horsehair sporrans or goat hair sporrans were worn by Victorians, and they kind of fell out of style for civilian wear. And it was just kind of relegated to military. So military or pipe bands would wear horsehair sporrans, not really civilians. They're basically because they're very expensive and they're, I won't say difficult to take care of, but they can get a little bit wiry and a little wild.
Challenging.
Challenging. Thank you.
Yeah.
So it's not something that a lot of people do, and it's so for civilian wear. And if you did wear it for civilian wear, it would typically be more, dressier, not Converse sneakers. So it is breaking the rules, air quotes. Now, not saying you can't do it. Our jobs are to kind of explain the rules, explain the conventions, explain tradition, and then it's your job as an individual to figure out where you want to fall on that scale of tradition or non-tradition or, convention or whatever the hell I want. So it's not something that is traditionally done, but there's nothing saying you're not allowed to do it. Erik.
In my people, we have a story of a young warrior who came to work at a kilt shop. He was brash. Rock and roll filled his brain, and he said to himself once when seeing a horsehair sporran on the wall, I really want that sporran. I would wear it all the time. It's black. It's very goth. It's very badass, heavy metal looking. I would wear it, even with combat boots.
Was it Sue?
Was
it my mother-in-law?
It was your mother-in-law.
Is that who did it? Yes. She's so goth.
I wanted this Sporran so bad, and I kept waiting for him to like give up on it selling because it was just going nowhere. It was hanging on the wall for years. And finally, like I think like right on the verge of me either saying I'll save up the money and I'll buy it, or you deciding, yeah, let's put it on clearance, get the hell out of here. Somebody bought the freaking thing, so I missed my chance. Would I do it now? Probably not. It is absolutely a statement, so I wouldn't go so casual as like Converse and a t-shirt. I mean, okay, boots.
You just said goth.
Yeah, I mean but
it's performance-ish.
Yeah, I mean, it's just when he says Converse, I think like canvas sneakers. I mean,
yeah,
take it up one notch. Like if you're going to a metal show, okay,
at least Nikes.
If you're going to Wacken open air, okay, or if you're going to some other mega music festival and you want to look totally badass with a leather jacket, a la the Mackenzies, and you're doing punk, goth, and metal. Maybe you get away with it, but it will get tangled. It will probably get trashed pretty quick. So be prepared for that to happen. And yeah, it's going to be expensive. Once you find a used one, then it's probably going to fall apart.
I think he already has it. Maybe.
Oh, he has it? I thought he was saying he wanted
he has it or he wants it? The Sporran.
He thinks he looks good in it, so I would infer that he owns it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if he has it, try it.
Yeah. But it is definitely non-traditional. It's definitely a rebel kind of a look. Yeah. So I'm just adding color to what he said already.
Yeah. No, but it's I would say this. Try it. Wear it. Have somebody take a picture of you in it and see if you like it. Like if you may put it together and be like, well, it's a bit much to go out with, or it's a bit unruly if I'm going to be going out and doing, a festival or something like that. Maybe I don't want to wear it. So, try it once or twice and your look will evolve over time. It'll become its own thing. You'll develop your own style within Highland wear. So try it and see what happens. And if you don't like it, stop doing it. If you like it, do it.
Yep.
There you go. All right. That's about it.
Okay.
What do we got? We are ripping through them today.
Didn't like Axl Rose or somebody wear a horsehair?
He wore a kilt.
Or was one of the guys from Slipknot?
Did Jonathan Davis do it in Korn?
Possibly.
Jonathan Davis wore kilts.
He definitely wore kilts a lot.
I don't know if Corey Taylor did from
Slipknot. And he played pipes.
Yeah, Jonathan Davis plays pipes.
Plays pipes, yeah.
I don't know if Corey Taylor from Slipknot wore a horsehair sport, but I know he's wearing a kilt. I think he wears the McLaughlin. And I know Axl Rose was wearing a kilt. I'm trying to go through my Rolodex of rock stars. Zach Wilde is wearing kilts.
I'm thinking about the photo gallery. I can't think of anybody else who has many who do a horsehair sporran with the kilt. I mean, because you remember, but
yeah.
Anyway, it is much. It is very much. Okay. McLean Samus asked us, at what point in history did Tartans begin to appear in nations outside of Scotland? Yay, culture question.
What point did they begin to appear? Now, there's a sliding scale with begin to appear. Like begin as in like one guy did it, or begin as in it was seen more commonly. So
see that hair? We're gonna split that
exactly
about a billion times here.
Yeah, I was gonna say about 6 or 7 different ways.
Yep.
So we'll start with the earliest that I could consider begin to appear. Maybe as Scots emigrated to America, as there was the clearances, kind of 1700s, 1800s, maybe the British military coming to the U.S. Or in 1776, 75, 78, that kind of time frame. But that would be more, like specifically with a military setting. As a fashion thing, maybe the 1800s, as the fashion, grew, the tartan movement, so to speak, in the 1820s through the 1850s, 60s in Scotland and the UK. As people emigrated to the US, they may have brought that love of tartan with them. As Americans traveled to Scotland, travel was a lot less common, but as Americans traveled to Scotland and caught the tartan bug and came back, they may have, brought back some souvenirs. There is evidence of Wilson's Bannockburn. There's at least a couple of letters of Wilson's Bannockburn supplying fabric stores in New York City in the fashion district in the fabric district,
Okay.
supplying them with tartans. Not necessarily clan tartans, but hey, give me some green tartans, give me some blue, give me some reds.
Interesting.
Whatever is selling well. I know there's one letter of Wilson supplying a plantation in South Carolina with tartan for the staff. So, the house staff would have, tartan vests or whatever they had, as in tartan, but it became a fashionable thing. It kind of spread, and it wasn't necessarily particular clan tartans, but it would be fashion tartans, at least to start. Thoughts?
What?
Exactly. I've bored him to tears.
Yeah, no, I mean it's fun because it kind of talked the way to tease it would be to say, well, they came into Scotland first before they left Scotland. And we can talk about all the early history, pre-17th century stuff. I mean, and you're talking tartan as we think of it now, or you're talking like checky fabric, like the ancient Celtic tribal peoples wore, but all that crap aside.
Or Chinese mummies.
Yeah, not a lot of them made it to Scotland. So, but I think there's two phases to it. There's getting popular in the UK outside of Scotland, and that's absolutely because of the everything that happened post prescriptions. So the military, and then the tartan craze and all that kind of stuff. And then there's, as you already said, the immigration phase, the diaspora picking up steam in the 18th and 19th century, especially, early 19th century. I think that's probably the earliest and best examples. And yeah, if you're talking about tartan in general, then it's going to be, like you said, it's people just picking up on, oh, this is that cool, durable, neat looking fabric from Scotland, as opposed to, this is a clan tartan. I want my clan tartan. In terms of clan tartans, it's going to be with the rise of international clan societies or Scottish societies in other parts of the world, in other parts of the British Empire.
Or US.
US was part of it for a while. Yeah. But deciding we want to have tartan as part of our regalia, as part of the society, and then, people deciding to wear their clan tartan. So it's been I think it was a trickle that became a steady stream.
I'd be curious. Now, individuals and families always have their own family lore and their own family stories and where they came from and that kind of thing. Where, and I don't know the answer to this, I'm just posing an open-ended question. When do we think Americans really started embracing it, or have we always embraced it? The Scottishness, the Irishness of our own history. Meaning
that's complicated.
I know it is. Because I think it's always kind of been there at minimum as an undercurrent of American life, and the pockets of culture and wanting to bring it with you, which feeds into the salad bowl type mentality, and the melting pot thing. But it's very much always been there, and those Americans or Canadians or Germans or Australians who have Scottish lineage would want to incorporate that in some way, and tartan being a physical, visible, visceral thing where they can actually be like, oh, this is our family tartan. That obviously would be, after the 1820s and 30s.
Yeah, I think that's after the Victorian
thing.
The concept of clan tartans really took hold. But
has it gone away? Has it always been there? Has it gone away and come back? Like, has it ebbed and flowed?
I think there were other aspects of Scottishness that were far more important to early settlers in America than tartan. If you had a woman of the household in a colonial American farmstead weaving something and then choosing to dye it into a tartan pattern, there may be examples of that out there. I don't know. I've never looked. But it was definitely not a clan thing. It was not a family thing. What was most important was religion. After that was language.
Music.
Yeah, and music. You have a strong tendency with the first phases of the Scottish diaspora coming to North America, of them getting here a little later. than say the English and the Welsh and even the Germans,
The Irish.
and going into not as much the Irish, but
Okay.
but going further inland. Okay, this is why Appalachia became the culture that it has, because what you had happening, especially down south, was a lot of these Scottish settlers wanting to go someplace where they felt safe and isolated. And so they tended to go towards hard to reach areas like the mountains, where they felt like they had literally had physical boundaries between them and other populations, because they were so traumatized by the going way back to the 45. You had survivors of the 45, and then you had survivors of the clearances, and they just wanted to be left alone. So they moved into the mountains. They isolated themselves as much as they could for security reasons. What they held on to in terms of their heritage was their religion, like I said, Presbyterianism, Protestantism, and in a lot of cases the language, and absolutely the music. So I think Tartan may have ridden along with that to some degree. It's not something I've looked into. I don't know how much of a historical or archaeological trail there is for that. I think the clan Tartan thing, or Tartan in general, probably became much more common later on, and was after this country was much more settled and people were integrating more freely, and you had more of a middle class, and you started to be able to have the luxury of thinking not so much in survival terms as in identity terms, because yes, I'm a middle class American, but what are my roots? And how can I be myself even when
Yep.
Does that make sense?
No, it does.
Yeah.
You go up the pyramid from shelter, shelter, food, and then you start exploring other things.
Yeah.
Once you're secure in those things, then you can go into the non-necessities.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. And I would say it's probably more. It probably came less from the heritage angle and more from the fashion angle. So I'm thinking about like plaid shirts even. Once you start getting into just generic, it's a fun pattern, and you take the meaning out of it and you're just looking at it as a fashion thing, that's where it has a bigger chance for a bigger wave. Now, the heritage, obviously, and the meaning of it obviously has a very, very, it's imbued in it from clan tartans, and it's imbued in it for other things. But if you're not Scottish, that's where you have a chance to make a bigger impact with tartan. Does that make sense?
Kinda.
Yeah.
I think so. Yep.
So yes, through
interesting.
fashion, through people just wanting something, a pretty checked cloth, if you will, and not worrying about the symbolism, that's where it has the chance to make a bigger impact versus like if it's, Irish, Puerto Rican, Italian, blah, 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 all of the ethnicities in the diaspora who want, just a pretty cloth and they happen to like tartan, they're not going to be hanging their proverbial, hat on a hook of heritage. But for those with Scottish lineage, 100%, they're hanging their hat on that hook. So it means something different. Some of them are just using it as a pretty plaything, and others are hooking it to the heritage angle.
Yeah, now I want to talk to Mac about Linsey Woolsey shirts and gingham and calico shirts in the 19th century, because another reason why some of those patterns became popular with like working class people and outdoor people is because it just doesn't show dirt as well.
Yeah, you can hide stuff in it.
It's a lot.
Absolutely.
It takes a beating, keeps on ticking. I don't know. But
so close.
That's a really cool topic, and I'd like to look into it more.
Timex
I
watches.
love that. Yeah, Timex Tartans.
Yes.
Mac Timex.
Timex, it takes a licking and keeps on ticking.
Indeed.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Hope you like the Shaggy Dog there, but that was cool.
Indeed.
Yeah.
All right. Ian,
Yes.
what do we got?
Got a question here from Stray Cat 1674,
Again?
which I assume is the year they were born.
Of course.
No, that's just how long he's been posting.
He's been posting to Facebook or YouTube or whatever
Number of
since
posts.
that year.
Right.
Do you think, and this is a question about trends, do you think that the future of standard kilt wear will be the kilt worn at the hips instead of at the true waist?
No.
No.
Nice question.
Yep. No, there are some aspects of wearing a kilt that transcend time. So worn to the knee and worn, at the natural waist, which is above the belly button. Those are the two things. And tartan. Those are the three things for kilt wear that will always be, in my, not so humble opinion. Whenever you're looking at fashions, they always have to draw from the well of tradition. If it evolves too much, it becomes a whole different thing. If it doesn't evolve at all, it eventually dies. So you need fashion to play with it, but the fashion is always drawing on the well of tradition, and that will always be there. There will always be the traditionalists, the stalwarts, the people who, the torchbearers of the tradition, and then there will always be on the other end, people who just play with it and do something different. So, but the traditionalists are needed. That is what you will always draw from, because once it goes too far and the traditionalists go away, then it's a whole different thing and it's no longer the tradition. Does that make sense?
Yeah, man.
Exactly.
Yeah. All that aside, I would say that from personal experience, I think that a higher waist kilt will always be the standard because it just looks better. Now, if you have a round belly, your mileage may vary, but I started off with utility kilts, and one of the things I didn't like about them, and which a lot of people criticized them for over the years, was the fact that it's on the hips, and that can be unflattering for a lot of guys. It tends to sag down, looks kind of like dumpy jeans right there around your hips, and then it goes as this kind of flat, lifeless shape, very boxy shape of a kilt. And can I finish before you interrupt?
I didn't interrupt.
But you went like you were about to say something.
I made a mouth noise.
It's a very telling mouth.
I opened my noise. I opened my mouth.
Open your noise.
Mom and Dad are fighting again.
So
damn it! I can't work under these conditions. Sorry for blowing out your headphones there, Patrick.
I'm holding it so I have a screen cap to play with later. Okay. Let me try again. Utility kilts are awesome. They're comfortable. They're functional, but they're not as aesthetically pleasing. Shut up. I'm done. Find another number two. I'm done. I realized at some point when I wanted to look good wearing a kilt, that the key was that what I always say is the hourglass effect. A traditional kilt on a male torso forms an hourglass shape from the shoulder blades to the waistline and then out to the bottom hem of the kilt. And it can accentuate your shoulders and just make you look more manly. Utility kilts, it's more like shoulder blades down, or worse, shoulder blades down, belly, kilt undercutting the belly. It's just not as good. So I think that something that holds you in, helps you keep your shape, and just divides you in half at the true waist is always going to look better. So from that standpoint alone, aesthetics alone, trad kilts will always be around. Wash day.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's worn that high, it does look better. If you are going to wear logistically speaking, if you're wearing a kilt belt, which is a 2¼ inch belt, big honkin' buckle, and sporran, and you're trying to wear all of that at the jeans waist, it's too many things in too close proximity, and you end up bunching up too much down there, or things like they get in the way, so it won't look or feel as good being worn down lower. And I don't know if it would be. I think it would be uncomfortable wearing a wide belt, like a 2¼ 2½ inch belt on the jeans waist.
It just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
It would wind up riding up above your hip bone.
Yeah.
And you get even more of a Dunlop effect, or now utility kilts are usually cut a little longer.
Well, he didn't specify utility kilt.
I'm going back to personal experience. I know guys who do this. You'll wear a traditional kilt belt with a utility kilt, and depending on what your torso is like, it can look okay, but it's doing that same thing. It's pushing it up to get a more even division.
Yeah.
In top and bottom half. So.
Yeah. I agree. Even when I wore my utility kilts or whatever, I wore them up a little bit higher. It felt more comfortable in a weird way. I guess I had one that I would wear lower, but it wasn't. But I wasn't wearing a sporran with it and all the rest of it. If you're trying to wear a sporran and a belt with a kilt, then I would say either you're going to have to compromise on a thinner belt and then a sporran, like a jeans belt.
Yeah.
Or it's not going to be as comfortable. So no, I don't think it'll be a thing. It's not a thing. Don't make it a thing.
I'm also probably biased because I freaking hate hip hugger jeans. And most of the women I know hate hip hugger jeans too. I just like.
But come on, Erik, when you wear those low rise jeans, it shows off your tramp stamp so spectacularly.
Yep.
I'm sorry for that visual, Adam. I absolutely want
no photoshopping.
Yes, I want a Photoshop of Erik with the tramp stamp. Yes.
Do I get to say what the tramp stamp is?
Sure.
I can tell you guys what my favorite tramp stamp is, but I don't think it's appropriate for the show. It's extremely funny.
I don't.
But I'm not going to use it for this show. It's not appropriate because I have some standards.
Most of what we do on the show isn't appropriate for the show.
Oh, you have no idea.
Fair.
Anyway,
Okay.
Let's move on, shall we?
Please move on. All right.
Oh
Erik,
wait, yeah.
What do we have next?
Something more civilized.
And I am sorry for everyone out there for putting the thought of Erik in low-rise jeans with a tramp stamp in your heads.
Meanwhile, back up out of the gutter, Jason McClellan had a comment and a question. With most venues, like sports and music venues, adopting restrictive bag rules, and typical sporrans, meanwhile, exceeding those minimum size requirements, what do you think about either foregoing the sporran,
gasp,
and therefore losing out on an essential part of Highland wear, or going with something like a mini sporran, or to complete the outfit, just to complete the outfit, even though it's not that useful, or just go with no sporran at all? Would an undersized sporran that meets the regulations look ridiculous, or is it a logical idea, or do you just wear pants? How do you get a sporran past security in this day and age?
Yeah. First, I would check with the individual venue to verify what size bag you're allowed to wear. I might even ask them, hey, how strict on the bag regulations are you? Is it, if it's, 6 by 10, let's just say, is their bag regulation size? If I have something that's 8 by 8, is that close enough? If they say, yeah, sure, it's fine, then just fine, wear it. A lot of times the guys at security, again, depending on how, if it's like a small concert venue, they may not care. If it's a big, like when I go to the Flyers, they have like a little box you're supposed to put the thing in, and say, okay, does this fit the dimensions? For in the instance of, our hockey games we went to, it was not actually the Flyers who cared about it. It was the NHL imposing restrictions on the venues. So the people, the security there really didn't care that much. What I did anyway, and I think I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again, is I would take a sporran that has minimal metal on it, just a snap. So it was our economy day sporran with just a little metal snap. And for the strap, I would actually wear a leather sporran strap. I would take the sporran and the strap, put all the metal bits on my right-hand side by my waist and hip buckle, and I'd tuck the sporran inside my kilt. I had my phone and my money in my hand, and I had my sporran shoved inside of my kilt. I went through security, put the phone and the money over there. Okay, guys, I'm good to go. Oh, yeah, there's a buckle there. That's why that metal's going off. Yeah, go ahead and do the wand thing. Cool. All right. Walk 10 feet in, pull the sporran out, put the phone and the money inside the sporran, walk in. No one bothered me the rest of the time. So, your mileage may vary. That said, I wouldn't necessarily wear a smaller sporran with the kilt. I think that might look weird. I might, hack together some kind of, if you're handy with a thread and needle, sew on a pocket to the under apron of your kilt. If you really want to wear a kilt, I would find a way to do it and get your essential stuff with you. Alternatively, if you're really scared, don't want to wear the wrong size sporran, and don't want to try to sneak it in, and the venue is going to be a jerk about it. If you have a wife or a girlfriend, ask if she'll hold your stuff or just take less stuff with you. That's my ideas.
Yeah. Did you once say you liked using an economy sporran?
Yeah.
Because if you could hide it, it was less.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, you did say economy.
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
my mistake. I didn't know if you specified the type of sporran, but yeah,
Yep.
simpler
Less
would be
metal.
better. And if there is a problem and they make you give it up, then you're not losing much.
Yeah, that's true.
And then clearly you need a clear plastic sporran, made of the polypropylene or whatever.
Now, most venues, in fairness to most venues, when you go into a venue, if they're going to have a screening station and a metal detector and that kind of stuff, it's usually before you hand the ticket.
Yeah.
So if you go through and they're like, oh, you have a pocket knife, you can still run out to your car, throw it in the car, and come back in. Same thing will go for your sporran. So it's just a matter of how much stuff do you want to bring in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I tend to go minimal stuff for a venue like that anyway.
Yeah.
It's like just the key fob for my car, not all of my
Yep.
keys, just the electronic key fob I need, wallet or a credit card, ID. That's it.
Yeah.
You can, and phone. Yeah, so you can minimalize quite a bit if you need to.
But
But,
if if you're going to sneak it in, get every bit of metal off there that you can.
Yeah.
Just using my money clip as an example.
that's a weapon. Bloop, 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 bloop.
I used to go to like many Flyers games, and this is like a multi-tool thing. Here, I'm going to hold it up here so you can see it.
They've seen it before.
It's a multi-tool thing. So there's no knife on it. The closest thing on there is like a can opener. And of course, bottle openers. But when I came in with this one time, they were like, no, you're not allowed in there with this. And I literally said, I have come into this venue with this specific money clip literally 40 times. You have never stopped me before. I'm going in. And they were like, okay, fine. But it's worst case scenario. If I had to go out to the car, I could throw that in the car and come back in if they were really going to make us think about it.
Yeah.
So just point is, get rid of all of the metal you can. And if you have to hide some metal, hide it underneath the buckles because you can physically show them that's attached to the kilt. I can't remove it. Don't wear a sporran chain, wear a sporran strap. So that way you can hide it underneath there. And less metal. Yes.
Yep.
Less metal, but more metal. There you go. Just for you.
Breaking the law.
Indeed. Yeah. Breaking the law. All right.
Juice Priest never said yeah. That was mine.
Okay. Ian, what do we got next?
Yeah.
Oh.
So
Before we go next, we have our...
Love kilts? Love the outdoors? Are you on TikTok? Then you may have run into today's ambassador, Michael Falk. Michael spent 20 years in the U.S. Navy Seabees and served as the leading chief petty officer of a tactical movement team in Iraq in 2004. He retired as a chief petty officer in 2010, and after his service, he launched a career in digital animation. Michael's worked for DC Comics and Mad Magazine, and currently does 3D projects for companies like Disney+, Nat Geo, and Netflix. Now, Michael's family is mostly Irish and Scottish, with, as he puts it, a skosh of German thrown in to, quote, keep the alcohol intake well regimented. Michael's grandmother was a Madigan from Limerick, and she helped raise him and his siblings, so he feels especially close to that side of his heritage. And for Michael, his heritage is also a call to action. As he puts it, I am very proud of the Irish and Scottish histories of fighting against oppression and subjugation. For me, it represents a responsibility to speak out and sometimes act out against any person or group that would take away another's liberty, freedom, or life. Michael first got into kilting about 12 years ago. His son was a Cub Scout, and he was the pack leader. And then one weekend, one of the parents showed up for a camping event wearing a utility kilt, and Michael basically fell in love and ordered his own the very following Monday. He used to wear them solely for the weekends until the pandemic hit. Then Michael were working remotely, like many of us, and he says that even though people couldn't see him from the chest down, he felt oddly unprofessional attending Zoom meetings in his underwear. So he took to wearing a kilt every day, and he hasn't quit. Michael feels there are many positive aspects to wearing a kilt, but what he enjoys the most is the comfort and how the kilt can improve your social life. As he puts it, wearing a kilt is a fantastic icebreaker and conversation starter, and seems to make social interaction much easier and more fun. As mentioned, Michael is an active and, in my opinion, really fun TikToker. He basically documents and shares his love of adventure and the great outdoors. In his videos, you get to see Michael doing everything from overlanding and wilderness survival to cooking. And best of all, making new friends everywhere he goes. Michael's Jeep is outfitted for overlanding, and he basically takes it everywhere. He's lived for months at a time in the wilderness, for instance, on top of a snow-capped mountain or on a serene Mexican beach. He's currently planning an overlanding adventure in Europe, and I also understand he might be getting into Highland athletics. As he puts it, I love to travel and test the limits of my own experiences. I enjoy meeting new people, and wearing a kilt every day makes that really easy. Michael's TikTok content has attracted both experienced and novice kilt admirers, as well as other adventurous souls, and he tries to be super supportive at every turn. His key advice? Find your tribe. Whether it's in person or online, get to know other guys who love the kilt the same way you do. Seek out that positive energy and then move forward. And absolutely, if you're on TikTok, I highly recommend checking out Michael's content. He's just a great guy, and that personality and that energy is highly contagious.
So, here's to Michael.
Cheers, Michael.
Out there doing cool stuff.
I know you're a left coast guy, but if you ever come east, let us know. We would love to crack open a bottle with you. Cheers.
Maybe a bottle of Stranahan's Blue Peak. This is good stuff, guys. And for those of you
really good
out there on the interwebs, Ian just came over to refill during that brief video intermission. Ian, hold that up. Yeah, he's not driving home tonight.
See.
If he is, we're not responsible.
Indeed. Yeah, you we have it on video. We have warned you.
Put your keys in the bowl.
Your wife will need to come pick
it's
you
that
up.
kind of party, huh?
Getting creepy real fast. Okay.
There's two kinds of key bowls, guys.
I know. All right. Anyway, that was
mine.
The last one was you.
Last question was me.
Ian.
If the Grinch can make that joke, I can.
Fair.
So I've got a question here that I don't know if we're the best ones to answer it, but it's an interesting question that we haven't answered before. From Mike Gordon. He says, just purchased a Bob Mackie Balmoral. Being retired from the army, would you care for it as you would with the beret? Soak it in water to shape it, and then shave to get rid of the fuzzies.
I have no idea.
I don't see why not, if it's real wool.
Yeah.
But I have no experience.
Yeah. Robert Mackie Balmoral will be real wool. It'll be boiled.
Yeah.
The
wool is wool.
Yeah. Sure. There's probably much better videos online than us with how to do it. Or if it's, I don't know. There probably won't be any videos about shaping a Balmoral necessarily.
I don't think it's quite as extreme as having to shape a military beret, like a modern military beret.
Yeah, but they're a little bit denser.
And the ones I've seen are most of the Balmorals I'm used to have some kind of a lining or a layer inside. So I wouldn't be harsh with the washing process. I would use Woolite and just hand wash gently and then shape, but don't be too obsessive about it. Deep pilling it. Sure, if it needs to be depilled, then depill it with a razor, or whatever. But
now that said, a Balmoral is not shaped like a beret is.
No.
And you don't. For those of you out there who may not know what he's talking about, for shaping a beret, he means literally like yanking it down so it hits the bottom of your ear on this side, getting it wet, forming it to your head, and pulling it all the way down.
Mm-hmm.
A Balmoral is meant to sit more off the side of the head and just kind of sit.
It's off the side.
Yes.
Sometimes guys wear it literally like, flat.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
So it's like
not
I said, it's not as
shaped in the
persnickety.
same way. Yeah.
It's not a sculptured turtle shell on your head like the Army guys have for theirs. Nobody's gonna inspect you the same way, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So
fair point.
Yeah.
All right.
Gentle Woolite.
Yeah.
You want to do another one? That was short.
Sure.
You want to do another one?
Sure.
I have a question here from TikTok, actually.
Yay.
From user 5160007811495.
If that is your real name.
The traditional spelling, yes.
Yes. Can kilts be worn to black tie events, and how do you do it?
Absolutely.
You put it on the bottom half of your body.
Yes. And
Do
the
not-
pleats go in the back.
And the pleats go in the back.
Yeah. Actually, if you're on TikTok right now, we have a video, or actually 5 or 4 videos on our channel on how to wear a kilt, how to get dressed in a kilt.
Yeah.
Yes, 100% kilts can be worn to black tie affairs. In Scotland, they are almost exclusively worn to black tie affairs. Now, there are different bits of kit that you would wear with it. For instance, you would wear a Prince Charlie jacket and vest or a regulation doublet, something that is meant to be worn formally. You would wear a dress sporran, which is meant to be worn formally. You'd wear either, ghillie brogues, or you'd wear buckle brogues, something that are meant to be worn formal. So there's different nuances within it that apply to formal, but not to casual daily wear kind of thing. But yes, absolutely, you can wear a kilt for formal.
Yeah, and we with Highland wear, Highland dress, and formality, there's some room for movement, especially here in the United States.
The diaspora in general,
right?
Yeah.
So be conservative with the look you put together first. But yeah, it is. You'd be amazed how many kilts we sell for weddings. And 9 times out of 10, they're going for a black tie look in this country, whereas tweeds are more popular now. And over in Scotland, they're much more popular for weddings, less formal than black tie. But yeah, in fact, last month we had a question about when did kilts go from being regular daily wear, kind of a common garment, to being special occasion only. I don't think that the independent clip of that is live on YouTube yet, but it will be. You can look at last month's full-length show on YouTube if you want to see what we said about that. And there were a number of factors in play, but it is absolutely appropriate for black tie. If you're going to a black tie event where people do not necessarily wear Highland wear, if possible, check with the host first. 9 times out of 10, they're going to say, "That's awesome, I can't wait to see it." But you want to be polite. You want to be, discreet, and make sure you're not going to be upsetting the vibe somehow, and having Granny clutching her pearls for some reason. It's unlikely in this day and age, but just good etiquette. Say, "Hey, I'd like to wear a kilt for this." If it's like an opera or a banquet or something like that, just go for it.
Or formal on a cruise or something like that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. In fact, we sell a lot of them for cruises.
Yep.
At this point, a lot of people go on cruises. They want them for the formal dance night. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. And now there's different levels of formal, and I'm using air quotes because there's really like black tie affairs, and then there's what most people nowadays, and I'm like Scotland and the rest of the world, call formal or dressy, is more like smart day wear, like you alluded, like tweed jacket and vest and that kind of thing. So when you say formal, if you mean you're going to a wedding and you want to wear a kilt and everyone else there is going to be in suits, or they're going to be in like dress jackets, or maybe like a nice shirt and tie, then you could probably just wear a tweed and be fine. Mm-hmm. If you mean black tie, formal, then yes, you're talking Prince Charlie jacket and vest and that kind of thing. But yes, there are conventions within it. So you definitely want to do a little bit of research. There's a sweet little YouTube channel for USA Kilts I can tell you all about, where we do a lot of different videos, and we probably have a playlist on, wearing things formally and that kind of thing. But there's conventions within it. There's rules within it. Try to learn a little bit, try to understand it before you just jump in with both feet. However, yes, 100% kilt 100% can be worn for formal.
Yep.
Cheers. All right, Erik.
Okay. Kyle Smeed asked
How
interesting.
Smeed or How Smeed?
Kyle.
Oh,
Smeed.
Kyle Smeed. Kyle.
Kyle Smeed. Kyle says members of his local Scottish society wear signet rings with their clan crest on them. And he's wondering, does this mean that signet rings are a part of Scots historical clothing? Are they part of clan regalia, or are they just a piece of bling like they can be for other guys?
Yeah.
Is there anything particularly Scottish about signet rings or clan crest signet rings?
No, it's anything particular about it. Is it part of Highland wear? No. It's a historical artifact, if you will. People wanting to, seal envelopes to make sure that that this is from me and here's my wax seal and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
That's how it kind of started. It's still kind of, a thing, but it's very much a throwback to that. I don't know many guys actually sealing envelopes with wax seals and their own signet rings. So now it's more of a fashion statement than anything, just like any jewelry would be. So is it part of Highland wear? No. Can you wear it? Sure.
Yeah, you could if it's fun. If a local society is doing it, they're either doing it because somebody thought it was a bright idea and everybody else copied them because it seemed like fun, or they're using it as kind of a special signifier of members of the group, like they're kind of aping the Masons in a way because they often use the signet ring, or they're doing something like that. But they're just like, hey, let's all be cool. Let's have matching decoder rings. I'm a little flippant there. I apologize, but it's not traditional. Really, it's not. There's no real historic precedent for a clan signet ring.
The association
like
is
association.
It is a traditional type of ring, but it is not
a traditional type of ring. It's jewelry now. It used to be functional.
Yep.
Hasn't been for like 200 years, 300 years. So
how dare you? Yeah. If you like it, wear it. If you don't, don't. It has nothing to do with Highland wear. It's fun if you like it.
You should wear 8 of them.
Yes. Indeed.
It has to spell something out though when you do the wax.
Plan ahead.
Right.
It's still my favorite knuckle tattoo is plan ahead with the D left off. I love that tattoo.
Yep.
I almost want to get it. Yes. All right. Mr. Ian.
Okay. We got a question on Facebook from Carl Taylor. Here's a question for you guys. What is a kilt tartan you own but regret buying? And I could answer first if you guys need a little time to think.
A kilt tartan.
A tartan that we regret owning.
That we regret owning.
So I'll give you guys a second to think. How about I jump in with mine?
Go ahead.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say I regret it because, I can make my own kilts. It doesn't cost me an excessive quantity. I'm also less precious about tartans having so many. The one that I did do that I ended up getting the least use out of and ended up selling, so again, not a lot of skin off of my back, I did the County Antrim Crest. And when I did that, I kind of knew this isn't really my color palette. But you know what? I'm going to try something new. I'm going to jump in and wear something that's a little outside my comfort zone. And I wore it a few times. I liked it fine. I just ended up not wearing it much. And like I said, I sold it. Probably got most of my money back given that I didn't spend all that much, being that I can make my own.
Okay.
So that is the closest I come to that answer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready if you're not.
Mine's a lame answer. I should do mine because it's simpler. Yours is you're gonna do a story.
I am.
Okay, so let me define. Thompson Gray. I was the first kilt I ever got when I started working here, and I was very new into getting into tartan at the time, and thought it was pretty cool. I liked it, and then after a few years, I looked at it, I was like, yeah, this is really kind of generic. It's like,
It's also a clan tartan. So there's
is Thompson Gray though?
Thompson. It's Thompson.
Thompson Gray.
Yeah, it's Thompson.
Okay. Anyway, so that's it. I just eventually gave the kilt away because it was all right, but it wasn't really me. Pretty quickly, I realized it wasn't quite what I wanted. So
yeah, I'm going to put thoughts in your mouth. If you can put thoughts in mouth. Here's what Erik meant to say. I have a real answer, and then I have an actual single answer, and then I have my other generic-y kind of answer. When I first started wearing kilts, there was a couple tartans that clan tartans that I would wear that I didn't have an association with. And as I evolved in kilt wearing, I kind of was like, this one doesn't mean anything to me. So I didn't care about it as much because it was a clan tartan that I liked the look of, and I did it for myself and I had it and I wore it. Then I'm like, yeah, but it's not one that I, felt a special, pull towards. Like it didn't speak to my soul. So there's a couple different clan tartans that, I, ended up selling because I made it, I wore it, I liked it for a period. Then I'm like, yeah, but I'm not part of that clan. And it's just, I let it go. And that's kind of what I thought you were going to go with a Thompson. That's why I'm saying putting thoughts in your mouth. Okay. My answer was the Carnegie of Skibo tartan. I had two actually, Isle of Skye kilts. And I'm like, okay, I never thought of myself as a purple guy, but I liked Isle of Skye. And I wore it. And I had a 5-yard and I had a hand-sewn 8-yard kilt in the Isle of Skye tartan. And I'm like, all right, maybe I'm a purple guy. Maybe I just don't know it. So Martin Mills had a universally type tartan called Carnegie of Skibo. It wasn't an actual Carnegie tartan. It was a fashion one. And it had purple in it. It had a green. And I'm like, okay, well, if I talked myself into liking it because I liked Isle of Skye so much. So I got it. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to make myself this kilt. And I made the kilt. And I almost wish Mac was in that chair today because Mac remembers this story like precisely. I made myself this kilt. And as I'm like literally pleat after pleat after pleat, liking it less and less and less. And I got to the end of the kilt and I'm like, I don't really like this. And I ended up putting it on and looking at it in a full length mirror. And I'm like, yeah, I just made myself this kilt and I don't like it. And I took it off and I put my other kilt back on that I was wearing that day. And a customer came into the store and he was like, yeah, I'm looking for a purple tartan. And I looked him up and down and I was like, you're about my size. And I brought it out and sold it the same day I made it for myself and decided I didn't want it. So that is my example, is the Carnegie of Skibo tartan, which I made for myself and immediately sold before I ever actually wore it. For realsies. I tried it on.
That's pretty hysterical.
It is.
All in one day.
And it is one of those things that that doesn't happen. It's he just happened to be in the store, happened to be the right size, happened to be looking for a purple kilt.
He was supposed to have that kilt.
He was absolutely supposed to have that kilt. Absolutely. And I was not. So, yes. Ah, yes. You're drinking out of my wedding glass, I see.
Yes.
Indeed. Quite.
Yes.
All right.
It was either this or the skull.
Fair.
I'll bring the skull out next time.
All right. So, those are our example kilts, which we regretted doing. All right. Erik. Once you're done sipping your pink cocktail, I can speak.
It's a pink cocktail.
Pink cocktail. I was just drinking that thing.
Right, you guys sound like me right now.
But you're not like sloppy drunk.
Okay, this is just for fun. Aaron G. Peabody asked, what steps do I need to take? What milestones do I need to cross in order to be awarded the appellation Friend of the Show?
The appellation?
Appellation.
Okay. Appellation. Is he from Appalachia? I don't know words.
It's pronounced Appalachia.
Oh, fair. Okay.
That one's for you, Josh.
Aaron G. Peabody?
Yes.
And yea, lo, the Lord said, Aaron G. Peabody, we lay thy blessings upon thee as friend of the show. And the choir sang and it was good. I feel like I'm channeling my Monty Python. Do you have any blessings for Aaron G. Peabody, friend of the show?
No, I was going to Princess Bride, like, friendship of the show, that dream within a dream.
That dream within a dream.
Aaron G. Peabody, friend of the show.
Forever and ever and ever.
We need a plaque. Or at least a certificate. We're cheap.
Kilt pin. You become a friend of the show when you buy 100 kilts. And then you get a free kilt pin.
All right, 50. I'm setting the bar low.
Okay, 50 kilts.
50 kilts. Fair. Yes.
For you, Aaron, special deal. 50 kilts. Thank you for the offhand compliment. I appreciate it.
Indeed.
Friends, everybody's a friend of the show. You're putting up with watching this. That's what friends do. They suffer with you.
We get to drink, and they get to suffer our bad
jokes. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yep.
So, cheers to all the friends of the show who are out there, named and unnamed. Looking at you.
Thanks for going through the muck with us,
people.
Wow, that was really sweet.
You're not drinking.
Oh, sorry. I will drink.
Come on.
We
Chop, chop.
toasted. How dare you, sir?
wasn't
Do
on
you
camera,
not
I didn't-
respect
that I knew
Aaron
of.
G. Peabody, friend of the show?
So, Aaron G. Peabody says he feels blessed.
He is.
And I will say I recently saw Aaron's recent order come through. And I was like, oh, Aaron, I haven't heard from Aaron in a while. So he is very much friend of the show. He's in our thoughts and our minds.
Wait, how many kilts does he have?
He has quite a few.
Oh.
I don't know if he reaches the 100 threshold
50?
we just set.
Aaron, catch up, Aaron.
But he's pointing. He's
We've
pointing.
preemptively given Aaron G. Peabody, friend of the show status,
Mm-hmm.
without physically verifying the 50 actual kilts. So we need to know.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I'm a little offended, and maybe we do need to draw that back because he did point out what tartan he ordered. Like I didn't already know because he's a friend of the show. I knew what tartan he'd already ordered. The American Dream, of course.
Of course. Well, that is good tartan.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Next.
Oh, that was mine.
Yeah.
Right.
So Tom Annenson is trying to make kilt look work for him and his needs. He says, would it be kosher to use hose ties, I assume he means garter ties, and have them exposed at the top of knee-high compression socks in lieu of flashes? So he
Exposed
apparently
at the
needs to
top.
wear compression socks, perhaps for medical condition. I don't know the details, but
Not a lot of people wear them just because they like them.
well, fair.
You know.
Fair.
They're making a fashion statement with compression socks. It's the hot new trend for fall.
Yeah.
I would, if it were me, no. And if it were me, I'd probably wear cotton kilt hose over top of compression socks.
Yeah.
Something that it's not, your cotton kilt hose, you can actually stretch out a little bit.
Yeah.
So I might I'd wear that so it's not like ultra compressing, but I'd wear something over top of it as a fashion thing on top of a medical device.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wear garter ties on top.
Yeah. Now, if you're concerned about the bulk of the compression socks plus another pair of hose on top in your shoes, you could theoretically invest in like hose tops or cut the foot off of a pair of cotton hose. The cotton hose is exactly what I was going to recommend because they're lightweight, they won't feel warm, and they're very stretchy. So I think you could have a nice illusion and a nice decorative layer there that would do the job. So I think that's a good call. Yeah.
I was chuckling at the term.
Also, they're really
decorative layer.
cheap.
Yeah.
They're really cheap. But hose tops might be interesting. But that's wool. It's gonna be wool or a wool blend. So
And they only really make hose, like it's stock supported hose tops and like diced hose or
diced,
something like that.
yeah. Yeah. So I would do that.
Do those really work when you don't have drawing a huge blank on that white thing you put spats? Do they work when you're not wearing spats?
If you're wearing something like combat boots or something like a higher boot,
Like a high top boot, like a walking boot.
Okay,
correct,
fair
or
enough.
a walking boot, or one of those. I held the kilt down. You're welcome, world.
World.
Yeah, I have like Thursday boots on that are like 8 holes.
Well, it's Friday.
So bad. Brand Thursday. Yes. You can wear hose tops with something like a higher top boot type thing.
I would say, I mean, the other option is I'm thinking about guys who have prosthetics, and some will, depending on the shape and design of the prosthetic, they might put a kilt hose on over it, or they just don't. I mean, you could just own it. It is, of all the parts of an outfit you would have to give up and still feel like you're dressed nicely, hose and flashes are definitely an easy one to ditch. You know what I mean? If it's a formal event, you want to look nice, then, some guys, if they have an issue with one leg, they'll at least wear a kilt hose on the other leg and just let the leg that has the problem just be that.
I'm gonna dig a little deeper here. If you're, and I agree, and I'm gonna springboard off of what you said. One, if it's gonna be a formal or dressy type event that you would normally wear hose to, I would wear hose over top. I would not wear garters or flashes or anything else on top of diabetic compression socks. Period.
Yeah.
I would either
It's gonna look weird.
wear hose over top with flashes or not. And maybe do they make like black compression socks?
Yeah.
So if they make black ones, wear black ones. Don't wear stark white. That would look a bit odd. But either all in or none in. So either compression socks by themselves, no flashes, no garters, or wear hose over top and garters.
That was what I was trying to say.
Yeah. I would spread those two out. So either casual or dressy, don't split it. Yeah. It's wearing compression socks with garter ties it's neither fish nor fowl. So that's kind of where I land on it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Very much.
All right. Was that you?
No, that was Ian.
That was Ian. So you. The other you.
They left. James J. Walker. Don't make a joke. Can you explain the brown watch and gray watch tartans? I can't find much information about them. Additionally, most companies that offer the gray watch tartan are actually selling gray spirit, according to the Scottish Register of Tartans, that is. So, what's the deal with brown watch and gray watch tartans?
Good question.
They were developed for very specialized units of the British Army.
Yes, the brown watch and the gray watch.
The dark ops, nighttime attack, camouflaged paratrooper kilted commandos.
They're the Real Men Wear Kilts group wears the brown watch tartan as their official tartan. So it is a thing. It exists. Strathmore weaves it. It's woven over in Pakistan. There's different mills that weave it. So is it a tartan? It is a tartan that exists. It is not. So this is not us disparaging that group, for the record. But there are a lot of tartans that just kind of evolve out of nothing as a fashion variant on a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to throw things around.
Excuse me while I whips this out.
Exactly. Gray watch there's like different names for it. Brown watch is an officially registered Scottish Register of Tartans thing. So here's the notes from the Scottish Register of Tartans on brown watch. Syndex notes say that product of J&D patent of Tilly Country. So J&D patent of Tilly Country designed the tartan. Frankly, if I had to guess, it would be, I have no idea who that is. None. If I had to guess, it's a company that said, we like black watch, but let's move that, let's get the navy out of there and just make brown because we want something green and brown. Okay. Boom, done. And then they wove it and it became a thing. So, the notes on that, for the record, predate the Scottish Tartan Register or the Scottish Register of Tartans, probably even back pre-STA, Scottish Tartans Authority, where they were just really just trying to scramble and find all the tartans that exist, find a little bit of information about them, and record them for posterity. So it's not something it is steeped in meaning and history. It's not a clan tartan. It's not a newer fashion tartan that has meaning behind it, a la American Dream, Nordic Heritage, things like that. It is not, it is more the third category of a tartan that exists as a fashion tartan that's kind of been accepted and then cataloged within the Scottish Register of Tartans. So it's nothing, there's nothing wrong with it, but it is not something that means something. It doesn't have a whole lot of meaning behind the design. It might now to the Real Men Wear Kilts group, but it's not a tartan that was designed for any reason other than these colors look good. Let's put them together and put it out.
It's a product.
Yeah, it's a product. But
not all variant tartans happen like that, right? There are some tartans out there that have clan names which are not based even on the clan. Is that correct?
What do you mean? Give me an example.
Carnegie
of Skibo.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. Where I get the impression that sometimes especially companies overseas will design a tartan and they give it a clan name to try and give it some extra marketing boost or something like that.
It's happened on occasion. It's not a widespread pandemic of mills, co-opting clan names. The example that comes to mind for me is like Hamilton Grey, where there's companies out of Pakistan calling actually two different tartans Hamilton Grey because it's like a bunch of gray different things, but it's not an actual Hamilton tartan. Okay. Not and officially approved by the Hamilton clan chief type thing. I don't know if Hamilton has a current clan chief for the record. So there's nuance to it, but for brown watch specifically, they're using black watch as the base and then calling it brown watch because they're just replacing the navy with brown. Okay. So it's to some degree, it's how tartans evolve. It's how fashion plays within it. So are they wrong for doing that? No, because they're not calling it black watch and bastardizing it. They're calling it a different thing. Now they're aping the black watch tartan. So if you want to take issue with it, you could take issue with it under that, premise. But it's nothing that hasn't been done before. And there's clan tartans which ape the black watch tartan. If you look at Lamont or Forbes or Mackenzie or Robertson Hunting, there are all of these clan tartans that start with black watch as a base and then, play with a stripe here, a white stripe here, a red stripe there, and that kind of thing, and play within it and evolve into their own thing. So this is just its own thing, just within a fashion setting that has nothing to do with a clan.
Weren't there a couple that basically just out and out said, okay, black watch is going to be our hunting tartan?
Yeah, Campbell, Monroe, or Sutherland.
Well, Campbell, of course, but Sutherland.
Yeah. There's three that I can think of off the top of the dome. But there's nuance within it. But those are using the actual black watch tartan, like in its actual, exact set. Yeah, just an ancient variation versus modern.
It has the Hanukkah Donica from the clan chief saying, we're going to call this our hunting tartan.
Correct.
Just because we like it or whatever.
Correct.
But the one that confuses me though is those tartans where it's like Hamilton Azure and somebody out there is going to think that it's like, oh, I don't really like the main version of my clan tartan. I'll wear this one instead. And then they're going to show up wearing something that all the other Hamiltons are like, that's not our tartan.
Yeah. There's
that kind of bothers me.
Yeah. And and that's not just, I will not throw Pakistan firmly under the bus. For Hamilton, I will. But there are other mills who have done that, non-official clan tartans. Macmillan Black is one that comes to mind. That is just a fashion tartan that was given the name Macmillan, but it is not official given the
which
blessing.
I like.
Yeah, I know it's a nice looking tartan.
Yeah.
Campbell of Loudon is not one, or no, check that. Campbell of Argyll is one that is not an officially recognized Campbell tartan from the Campbell clan chief, but it exists. And a bunch of different mills, Scottish mills, produce it as a stock supported tartan, but it has not been given official blessing. So it will evolve over time, and through wanton usage and or through commercial demand of people saying, well, I want a tartan for this thing, it will go. And black watch or brown watch, is one of those that just kind of, it's cool. It's black watch, but brown, new and improved. So it exists and it's woven from a couple of different mills, and it's just, become part of the thing. So, yeah.
Yep.
That's how it evolves in general. And it's not good. It's not bad. It's just, it is what it is. Yeah. I would say when they're screwing around with clan tartans, it's a little more bad in my mind because they're trying to hook onto a clan name.
Yeah. That's my point.
But for something like black watch, brown watch, I'm a little bit less concerned about it. Although it is just a fashion tartan.
So you'd be okay with Isle of Skye pink?
Well, Rosemary Samois may not, the designer of it. It depends on how official a status the thing has.
Yeah.
I'll start there. And I will end with, you can do something more interesting by doing it yourself and by giving it meaning. So for, why buy a tartan that has just a fashion variant if you can design something and give it a meaning? Well, price, that would be one reason. But if there are universal tartans with meaning and then universal tartans with no meaning, I would tend towards something with meaning. If there's, but if it's not in a color palette, or if I'm only looking for it, let's put it this way. If I'm in Scotland, I'm using this as a specific example because that's what a lot of them do nowadays. Okay. If I'm in Scotland and I'm looking to rent a kilt for my wedding or hire a kilt, and my bride says, well, our colors are blue and gray, and oh gee, there's Highland Granite blue, or there's Hebridean blue tartan that is available from the company that I'm looking to rent the kilt from. Great. Then that's the one I will do. There's no meaning to it. It's just a fun little design that a mill or the tartan, the hire place, the rental place made up and then put into their range. Sure, there's no meaning to it, but it matches the colors. Fine. But if I'm going to buy something for myself, I'd rather have it have some kind of meaning.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I land on it.
I'll buy that or not, because I'd rather have a actual clan tartan.
Or Nordic Heritage or American Dream or some kind of universal. I can only think of those two. Or Isle of Skye, something with a meaning within my life. My family came from the Isle of Skye, therefore that's the one I want. Great, do it. Cool.
Yep.
Boom, done. That's all I have to say about that.
Bam.
Bam.
It's a good question.
Answered. Asked and answered. Cool. All right, was that you or him?
That's him, or it's his turn.
Yes. So we have a question from Twitch.
I still can't do that.
Twitch.
Wolf Warden wants to know, how historically accurate and or what are your thoughts on fur-lined kilts and sashes for cold weather? He's specifically thinking about Jason Momoa's show on Netflix called Frontier as his reference point.
What?
Fur-lined kilts.
Kilts and or sashes.
Did Jason Momoa wear a fur-lined kilt?
I have not seen that
I don't know
show.
what he's talking about.
Me neither.
What's this movie? Frontier?
Frontier. I think it's a show, but yeah.
Is any of the media
Fur-lined kilts.
No.
0.
Yeah.
That's how historically accurate it is.
Yes, they're lined with sheep fur.
But to make it, they weave it together very carefully. So
and
sometimes they color it.
Yeah, I was gonna say even make colors and patterns within the colors. It's crazy.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Nope. Not at all. It's not a thing. Don't make it a thing. Not a thing.
No. Just no.
Maybe if you're wearing it regimental, I'm gonna go a little blue. If you're wearing it regimental, and the nether region, your bits and bobs, so to speak, or a bit sensitive, and you need some mink fur. But yeah, no, you don't need fur under the kilt. No,
I've never heard that.
No.
That is
I haven't either.
That is patently ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's like a hair shirt. It's like you've been a bad boy, so you gotta wear the scratchy stuff under your.
I have a hair shirt.
That's her suit.
Oh,
her suit.
right.
I believe is
I'm
expression.
only familiar with the aesthetic of the show. I haven't watched any of it.
What aesthetic? You just proved it doesn't have an aesthetic.
I don't think he wore a kilt in that show, to the best of my knowledge. Maybe
Oh,
a
okay.
sash
So Matt
or
is saying you didn't
something.
wear
more of a scarf.
He is a fur trapper in that show. It's set in like
Oh.
colonial Canada.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I think he's just wearing fur.
Well,
Okay.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So beaver lined.
I'm
Kilts is
leaving
our
all
next-
the beaver jokes out of the show
God.
for the record.
along with the American accessories and the two-toned hose. Pretty soon, beaver and mink lined kilts coming from USA Kilts, because Lord knows kilts aren't expensive enough.
No, you put the animal fur on the outside of the kilt on the sporran, not on the inside. You have it on backwards and inside out.
Right. There are various traditions and techniques of using animal pelts for insulative or waterproofing purposes. I've never seen them combined with a kilt because wool, especially in a historical context, has lots of lanolin in it. It is naturally waterproof and insulating and keeps you warm even when it gets wet. So why would you bother?
I will also say this. Momoa is not a surname commonly found in Scotland.
Yeah, he's an actor. Come on.
I know I'm joking.
He's a cool guy.
No,
Cool
I
dude.
I like Jason Momoa. I think he's funny as hell.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. No. And dreamy.
Just don't do it.
Yeah. No. Don't wear it. No. Not a thing. Don't make it a thing. I will not make it a thing.
I think he was
ever.
trolling us. I think he just asked us that to see us react.
You
It's like,
son of a-
got him with this one.
got me.
I'm
Testing our knowledge of Highland wear.
I'm
That was an
imagining
easy
like
one.
puffing the kilt out too. Just like look like those guards from the Wizard of Oz with the big poofy pants, walking around like,
No.
what?
No.
What's
no.
under your kilt? A whole sheep, actually.
Two beavers and a badger. That's creepy. All right.
Shut up.
Yeah. Ian, Eric.
Wait, no. Okay.
Please.
Oh man.
We'll do one more from you. And
Now I
one
gotta
more
see the
from
show
him.
though. See what.
Yeah, I know.
these-
Now I'm curious.
He did apparently add Wolf Warden, the guy who asked the question, that there were apparently Scottish trappers that maybe made an appearance in the show that maybe wore what he was describing.
Well, that's Hollywood.
But we'll have to look into it further.
That's bull.
to-
It's like,
to
oh, they're
see it.
Scottish. Let's put them in kilts.
If it's one of those like necessities, the mother of invention. I'm in Canada. It's the Arctic tundra. I'm trying to trap seals and other animals.
Yeah,
and-
show me
and I'm
the
cold and
documentation
dying.
of any
No,
fur
no, no, no,
trappers
no.
wearing
Like-
tartan kilts. Okay.
No, I'm not saying documentation. I'm saying
Uh-huh.
like if I'm going to freeze to death and I'm gonna like kill animals, reverse it, and make it into leggings, and then wear a kilt over top of it
Mhm.
just to stay warm, so I don't get frostbite on my dangly bits. Sure, but that's not something that's like is done. It's something that like maybe one guy who's about to die and lose his manhood may have to have had done.
What period is the show set in?
I would assume 1800s, 1700s.
Pre-revolution.
Pre-revolution. Okay.
Pre-American Revolution. Yeah.
Which
Canada hasn't had a revolution yet. Come on, Canada, catch up.
It's time for Canada to strike!
Yeah.
All right, next.
Okay. Hollywood. Totally Braveheart that one. I'm sorry.
Yep.
All right. Angel Ortiz. Being new to being a serial kilter, hashtag serial kilter, guys. I sometimes find navigating the do's and don'ts a bit daunting. I admit that finding you guys has been a blessing and really got me into it. Thank you very much.
Blessing. Air quotes.
Here's my question. Is it okay to just have one simple day sporran to use for all times other than formal events? I've seen some places say that a day sporran is for use during the day, and if going out at night, you must have a dresser sporran. So he's saying, can you get away with a single sporran for almost everything except a formal occasion? Or do you have to change after 6?
Yes, indeed, quite. Yes, no one wears white after Labor Day. There's it depends on the event. Don't think of the after 6 as a hard rule unless it is formal, in a dressy type setting. If I'm going to a concert and the concert starts at 7 p.m., I am not going to wear a dress sporran. I'm going to wear a day sporran, and I'm going to wear a concert shirt, and I'm going to wear my kilt, and I'm going to wear combat boots.
You're talking about a rock concert.
Yes, exactly. If I'm going to the opera after 7, then yes, maybe I'm going to wear a Prince Charlie in a dress sporran. I don't know. I don't go to the opera.
These days, usually just a suit. So
Yeah,
nice
indeed.
day wear
But
or an Argyle.
I would say you start with the context of the event, and then if it is formal or very, very dressy, then I would apply the rules of what you wear after 6 versus before 6.
Yeah, pretty much. I think there is some precedent of people wearing the same sporran they always wear, but they take care of it. It was a good quality sporran to begin with, and they take care of it, and then we use it for everything except absolutely formal things. And when they're dressing up, it's the rest of the outfit that clues you in that they're more dressed up. I mean, the obvious example being Prince, now Charles, now King Charles, with that hunting sporran of his from like 1962 or whatever, which he's worn for all kinds of occasions, not for anything where he'd be wearing a bow tie, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said for having a high quality single sporran that you've taken good care of, and it's just it becomes a part of you. Yeah, exactly. You know, and I have like one dress sporran that I'll use for very, very special occasions, but most of the time, not. So
yeah, I'm actually like the sporran that I have on right now. I've had for probably 12 years, maybe 15, and I've wear this all the time, beat the hell out of it. Recently used leather honey to kind of reinvigorate it a little bit. There's a lot of rubbing on the top where my belt buckle hits it and things like that. And as I've started playing around with brown leathers, I won't say like jealous, but like I wish my brown leather sporrans had as much wear and character, so to speak, as my black leather sporran was, because I've worn it for so long. But yeah, I very much separate the two. If I'm going to be dressed formally, I would wear a nice dressy dress sporran, like less worn dress sporran versus my well-loved, well-worn everyday sporran.
Yeah. And we usually say it's ideal to have at least 2 sporrans, maybe 3. But then, to be honest, I mean, people just wind up collecting them because they're cool.
Yeah.
But,
it's maybe 27.
You can totally get away with a single sporran for a lot, most of your life, I would say.
You can wear. Let me do the scale of formality, so to speak. If I like this day sporran that I have on right now, I could wear this, with a t-shirt and combat boots. I could wear it with a polo and kilt hose and that kind of thing. I could wear it with a tweed jacket and vest. Like that is appropriate for all of those levels. If I'm wearing a Prince Charlie jacket and vest, then I would wear a dress sporran because that is more appropriate for the formal end. But everything up to that, I could wear a day sporran for. Now, you might want to wear a hunting sporran or a semi-dress or something like that with an argyle, and you could, or with a tweed jacket and vest, and you could, but a day sporran would be as appropriate for that. Now, that would stop, like hard stop at Prince Charlie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool.
Nope.
Indeed. That's all we got. So, cheers. All right, Ian, last one. What do you got?
Oh, pressure. Got to make it a
start
good
thinking
one.
of the question of the day because I have no idea what I'm going to ask.
Me?
Yeah, sure.
So Sam asks us. He says, I've seen kilts which use buttons to secure the garment around the waist instead of buckles.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any historical basis for this? Is it a good idea? Or is it just a cheap substitute to be avoided?
Say this again. Say the first part.
So I've seen kilts which use buttons to secure the garment around the waist instead of buckles.
Okay. When we first started, there was a company, Museum Replicas, I think it was.
Oh God.
Yeah. And they had a kilt that closed with buttons. I wouldn't do it. Now, historically speaking, kilts, correct me if I'm wrong. Please jump in if I say something wrong. Kilts started off with essentially no closures. It just wrapped around and held on with a belt.
Uh-huh.
Then there was fabric ties or grosgrain ribbon ties that you would tie on the side of the kilt.
Yep.
Then that evolved into a leather strap, like a single leather strap.
Mm-hmm.
And then it evolved eventually into like the 3, 1, 2, and 3 on the other side. Now, some people still prefer 2 straps versus 3. That's a whole different thing. But buttons were never really a mass adopted thing.
Yeah, I get the impression that you're right.
Okay.
There is some, I believe there are some examples of button closure kilts back in the day, 19th century, early 20th century, maybe, but 19th century, because they were playing around with a whole bunch of different ideas. But I don't think they were ever the most popular option because they're harder to adjust.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're trying to do a historical impression, you could research who had button closure sporrans when. Definitely
Kilts,
not so
sporrans.
Kilts. Sorry. Nowadays, I would just the implication is that somebody's trying to do it as a fashiony thing to do or a cheap way of doing it because they don't want to spend the money on the straps
Leather
and buckles, whereas plastic buttons are easier to use if you're
cheap as chips.
Quite. So, yeah. Were they a thing at one time? I think so. Because they tried just about everything for closing off kilts in the 19th century. But
there's been a lot of experimentation.
Yeah, a lot.
Especially with closures on kilts, with pleating styles. Like, it's a garment that has evolved, and think of it like as a branch. It's gone down a bunch of different little tiny paths, but it's not lived down the branch for long periods of time.
Yeah.
It's evolved into a thing that the vast majority, like the kilt that you know of today, 3 straps, 3 buckles, pleats in the back, knife pleated, wool kilts are kind of how it is, where it has ended up now. Has there been other branches off that tree? Sure, but none of them have really stuck around too much, or they're minor branches off of the main branch. Box pleated kilts, military box pleated kilts, ties versus the leather straps. All these things have occurred, but they've never been mass adopted, and that's not how it's come to be now.
Yeah. So I would, if you're seeing it for sale now, I would avoid it.
Yeah.
I would definitely avoid it.
Go with a company that sells kilts with buckles and straps. 100%.
Yeah.
Yep. Indeed. Okay. Here's the question of the day. I got it.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
I got it.
Okay.
I want to know. What theme, if you want to think of it as a theme, what theme kilt accessories do you want to see outside of Scotland or Ireland? Do you want to see more Welsh stuff? Do you want to see more Canadian stuff? Do you want to see more Nordic stuff? What do you want to see as a theme for your kilt accessories that doesn't currently exist? Or that exists, but they kind of suck and you want to see it done better? Let me know in the comments.
I have a couple of answers for that.
Same.
I know. So do I. I have a lot of answers.
Yeah, I have some really...
There's only so much time and so much money in the world, though. All right, boys and girls, thank you for joining us. Until next time, Slanjava.
Thanks for watching. If you want, you could push the buttons and ring the bells.
Please.
Oh, you surprised me. I didn't see you there.